guys, welcome to the channel. I hope you guys are safe and healthy with your families. If you are not, I am praying for all of you guys. You know what I'm gonna say. If you're not already subscribed, pause this video and press subscribe down below. Along with that, hit the bell notifications link in the corner so you guys know when a new video is posted. Without further ado, we are self-quarantined still. Mom is over here, so if you hear her in the back telling us to say something or don't, that's why. That's why. As you can see, I got my hair braided. I was working out and trying to film videos for you guys at the same time. It was not going well. I sweated out my edges and I had to re-flat iron my hair, relay down my edges every single time. So I went and got my hair braided. It was only me and one other person in the room. So it was less than 10 people for all of you guys who are gonna say, Matt, stay at home. Now we're here and I don't have to do anything with my hair for the month. So you guys can hold me accountable to posting a whole bunch of videos and stuff. Anyways, without further ado, to get into today's video, you see I have my boo-boo Stinky here.
Where's Annie?
And we actually got a video suggestion from one of you all. You guys messaged me on Instagram and I'm going to read exactly what the question is so you guys can know what we're answering. The question was, it's from Natalie Renee is her name. Thank you for sending this idea. We always take ideas, so make sure you guys keep sending them if you think of something she did and she is the go for that. The question is, hi, I know you're always asking for suggestions on videos for you and Bae. I was wondering if you could post a video about how you and Corey built a strong foundation while dating. You said multiple times how you and him made sure y'all had a strong foundation and understanding before becoming public. What are some conversations and exercises that you all did? How did you bring up awkward conversations with your partner? To just get right into it, we have zero structure to this video. We always kind of have conversations before we answer questions, but didn't really come up with a specific structure. I think for me, or really for both of us, based off of our previous relationships, previous situationships, there were a lot of things that went unsaid. And I think with our relationship specifically, we took that experience and was like, okay, how can we make sure that this goes right into that we don't run into the same situations? I know for me specifically, and I'm gonna let Corey give you guys his own thing, but for me specifically, through therapy and really just wanting to be a better person and be better to the people around me and have like real understanding of how other people feel, what are their triggers, or like what do they care about, what do they not. I wanted to be specific, and knowing that he and I, when we were interested in being more than just friends, it was like, okay, so these are some conversations that we had to have. They really weren't awkward because I was just like, listen, I'm gonna throw all this stuff out there and we're gonna figure out if we agree, if we're on the same page, if we're not. But for me, that wasn't an option because in other relationships and other friendships, it was like, you let this stuff go unsaid and then you end up in a pickle because nobody ever said anything. So I think I was just very intentional, and I try to be that way now with all of my relationships, not just romantic, but all of my relationships. Like, you know, how do you feel about this? Does this bother you? Because a lot of times in relationships, people are like scared to say stuff and then they harbor these feelings and then things come out in different ways. So I really wanted to be intentional about that. How about you, baby?
That was good.
Thanks.
But for me, the big thing was communication. She does a great job with that, and also on my end, just communicating things. Like she said, from past relationships, a lot of things would be a big problem just from not talking and discussing it or just holding back. So not knowing that's what she wanted to make a focus on, it was the same thing that I was doing. So whenever things would come up, even, well, of course, after we had posted each other and we would post things, and like, I'd ask her, is this good? You cool with that? And everything. Yeah. Just let her know, not just because, you know, who wearing the pants or whatever. It's just, you know, respecting each other about what each other are posting. So
Mom's laughing in the background. Mom, you have to be quiet.
But yeah, so it was really just a big part was communication, and then understanding her and her understanding me. There were times when I was just, I guess, not me, but I didn't know. There was literally, when she asked, I said, I don't know. And usually when that happens in a relationship, it's, oh, they just don't want to talk. But
I remember that first time. That first time I asked him because like, you know how like we all get in our moods or like something's bothering us, but we really don't know what it is that made us that way. And me being somebody who is trying to be even more in tune with who I am and what I'm doing, when I asked him, I was like, okay, so what's going on? You okay? Like, did I say something? Did I do something? And he was like, no, you didn't do nothing. I don't know, I just don't feel, like I just feel a little bit off. I'm like, okay, cool. I know exactly what that feels like. And I'm gonna just, you know, give you some space, not be like, well, what happened? Who did this? Blah, 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 like down your throat about it, because that makes everything worse. And then you just really just be coming up with stuff like to just make the other person shut up. So then you make something that you probably wasn't even the thing that pissed you off. But I think for me, being somebody who's also trying to understand and be in tune with myself, hearing him say, I just don't feel right, I'm not in the mood, I don't know. And then that was just it. And I think that was actually kind of a big part in our relationship.
Yeah.
Because that's when you were like, okay, she gets me.
For sure, because no, I definitely remember that day, and like nothing happened specifically that just threw me off. It was just, for whatever reason, that day I was just off. I remember my car was in the shop. I remember taking an Uber to go and pick up the car, and the Uber was just driving like 10 miles an hour.
But when you're not in the mood,
way.
every little thing is
exactly.
like,
So it's
bruh.
like, but yeah, I remember we were just watching TV, and she asked me like, what's wrong? I was like, I have no idea. Something's just off. And she was like, oh, okay. It was like, okay, 2 minutes later, no, really, what's wrong? Tell me. Like, she understood. So that was a big thing on her end. And then the big thing on my end was just making sure I understood how she felt during different times. Because with me, I remember in the past people would tell me that I was like nonchalant and I didn't really care about much, but it was really just that I just handle things differently. And so I have to make it a fact to know like, okay, I'm not really making this a big deal right now for me, but I need to check with her to see how she's feeling.
So even with like Corona and everything was going on, he was still in Puerto Rico and I was still going down there to see him. But he like stopped, we were like in the middle of a conversation, he stopped and he said, wait, how are you feeling about this? Like, I know I'm okay, I'm not freaking out, but I wanna know how you feel, where are your emotions, where's your anxiety, like what's going on? But I think when you're intentional about getting to know somebody and what bothers them, what triggers them and stuff like that, that type of stuff becomes important to you because we're all different. Like we're all different. Different things that bother him don't bother me, and vice versa. Things that bother me don't bother him. So I think when you're with someone, you have to be intentional about knowing those different things, because then you stop assuming that everything is about you and like, oh, you're mad at me or like this, blah, blah, blah. And in reality, it's like, I feel this way and it has absolutely nothing to do with you, but you just find a way to make it about you.
For sure.
And then I also feel like in terms of like who I am, my career is to share and be public. So I think for me, knowing that, you know, this is my career, I offer to share certain things with you guys. Not everything. I offer to share specific things with you all about my life. And I pick and choose what I want to share. But for me, it's like, I can't expect for him to feel the same exact way. So when we were dating, I'm like, okay, so this is who I am. When we realized that we wanted to be serious, I was like, this is who I am. This is what I do. Is it something that you're comfortable with? No pressure at all. But as far as sharing my life, because I'm like, if we get to that point, having kids, being married, I want to share that with my audience. But I want to make sure that that's something that you're okay with, because I can't just assume like, oh, she's an influencer, so she assumes everybody around her like wants to be in front of the camera, wants to share personal information, all that kind of stuff. And that's something that I made sure to ask him.
She definitely asked me. So everything we come up here and discuss and put out there is things that we already talked about. I know we had a video that we did and people thought I was uncomfortable with what we were discussing about past relationships, but you know, we discuss everything that we talk about come on camera, so.
That's that.
Yeah.
That's on that.
So yeah, I come in, like she asked me, am I comfortable with this? Because me personally, I don't discuss a lot of things with people, but it's not because I just don't want them to know or I'm hiding it. It's just that I don't discuss it. Like even a personal thing for me, I had people in my family pass away and I wouldn't tell like my closest friends. not just because I didn't want to talk about it, but I let her know just off the bat because we were having that conversation. But they found out just from like Facebook and social media.
And that's something that the people closest to me told me when I met them. They were like, you know, how are you doing? He doesn't share much, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking like, he does. To me, he does. But I think it's just who he is. And I think just you have to be intentional. I think that's the biggest thing. Even the most awkward of conversations. I mean, I personally don't believe we've had any awkward conversations. A lot of times I'm like, okay, this is how I feel about this. Let me know how you moving with it, how you feel about it, and him the same way, vice versa. Like, it's just you throw it at when you want to have a sincere relationship with someone and to be connected on so many different levels, you're okay with just throwing stuff out and knowing where they move and how they feel about it, because that's something that could possibly make or break the relationship. Something that bothers you or is uncomfortable to you, and you guys fail to mention it, and years down the line, it's like, we never even talked about this. So for me, in our relationship, it was like, all right, let's just throw everything out on the table. This is how this is people I've talked to, this is situations I've been in, you know, so you're never caught off guard. You're never, you know, blindsided by anything that may happen or anybody that may come to you, anything like that. So we were very, very intentional. And I think if you want a solid relationship, you have to be that way. And that's with anybody, relationships, family, friendships, anything that you want to intentionally grow and be stronger as time goes on, you have to be intentional about those relationships. You see my shirt, it says Jesus in Therapy. And for me, it's like, I want to be a better JaLisa to Corey, to people around me, to my family and friends. So I'm intentional about learning their ins and outs and how they feel and how they think. And you know, what I may do that's not working for them and vice versa and stuff like that. I think when we first started dating, we talked a lot about our families and how we were raised, in terms of stuff with the church and stuff like that, because I also do feel like the way a person was raised significantly impacts a relationship. So not that you have to be with somebody who was raised the exact same way as you, but to know and understand how the dynamic of their relationships with their mom, with their siblings, with their family members, that all matters, because it also shows you how to move when you come into play. And then also we were very intentional with meeting parents.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for me, I accidentally met his mom. Well, I knew I was gonna meet her, but she
wasn't ready.
Miss Fancy, she popped up in Dallas, and I was at a pool party, and he texted me like, my mom is here, and I was like, I had to go home because I was gonna go there, and I had like, of course, like, you know, you have your cover up, and I was at a pool party, and I was coming here, and I was like, exactly, and his mom was gonna be like, this skis whore. I had the cover up and stuff on, but I was like, I cannot meet her like this, so I drove all the way home, changed clothes, came and met her, all this stuff. Anyways, that's how I met Miss Fancy, and then of course at your family reunion, was that the next time that we? No, his camp, and then his family reunion. That was a year ago, babe.
But we were in there somewhere for Carrington.
You guys met in August.
Yeah.
I remember. So with my parents, they came in town, and I think it was right before, because this is the thing. Corey's like, yeah, like I want us to make it official, but I want to meet your parents before we make it official. And I'm like, who says that? Like, you'll meet them after we make it official, blah, blah, blah.
I needed to see first.
He needed to see my parents, and he was like, I want them to know who I am. Did you not say that, baby? Because I don't want to speak for you.
I want them to meet me first, just so they're, you know, sometimes meeting the dads and moms might be a little different, so it's like, they not liking me, but I like
we
that.
already made it official,
you know, so it's like,
yeah.
Then we won't even have a good relationship right off rip, so.
He wanted to meet them first, so we set up a dinner. We went to a steakhouse. That's where he met everybody. Carrington had gotten into law school, so we made it just one big thing. Them meeting Corey, going to dinner for Carrington, going to law school. But we were very just intentional about everything. Like every single thing was intentional. You guys know my mom wrote a book about her and my relationship. and how we had to, because it's like you don't just magically get a good relationship with anybody. You have to be intentional about spending time, learning them, doing all this stuff. So I think for that, I have taken that lesson into my friendships, my relationships, and everything. Like, you have to spend time together and ask these questions that may seem difficult, but that's the only way you'll know what's really going on in their heart. Like, people don't share everything and wear everything on their sleeves. You have to ask, you have to pay attention and stuff like that. And I think that was what was huge for our relationship. And the thing is, the crazy part is, Corey was never the communicative type as far as like sharing his emotions. But I think that like, it never seemed hard when I asked questions. Like, I never had to like pull stuff out of you.
Nah, like
So I feel like you just had to be the right person.
I mean, I wanted to make sure that I made things known with her, because it was like, you know, we're trying to build this relationship and he's not telling me things. So I made it a point to let her know. But even for me, sharing is not like, oh, I'm trying to hide anything, or I'm uncomfortable sharing. Like, if the subject
Yeah, it was
comes
never.
up,
It was never like I have to pull this
intentional.
out of him.
Yeah, I wanted to let you know.
Yeah, and I think for me that went to show how he felt about me, because I'm not gonna lie, I was scared when everyone was like, he doesn't share anything I found out about this person or in his life, or like that he was sad about this, you know, on Facebook. So I was like scared, like maybe I don't really know what's going on in his head. Then we started talking and I'm like, it's not that difficult. You know what I mean? Like, but I respected the fact that like you hadn't said you loved me yet. But in his heart, he loved me enough to share therapy. Yeah, I feel like in his heart, he loved me enough. He hadn't said it yet, but he loved me enough to share and want to be intentional about building with me. So I feel like, all in all, the answer to this entire question is just being intentional about building relationships, whether it's romantic, whether it's your family, whether it's your parents, whether it's your friends. If you want a relationship to grow and be that impactful to you, you have to be intentional about sharing the things that are uncomfortable to you, and sharing the things that maybe are uncomfortable for you to just share about yourself, being vulnerable. And I think that was huge in our relationship. And that's all I really have to say. You have any last words, baby?
Well, I did write down a list. No. Nah, I think we pretty much covered everything.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to, if you have more questions, leave them in the comments below. We love you guys. Make sure you're following on Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. I tweet now. He thinks he knows my closeout of my videos. Ignore him. Stay in the house.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Use this time to rest, guys. I know there's so many people telling you to start that business and do all that stuff. If it doesn't fit for you, if you feel like God is leading you to do it, then do it. If it does not feel right and doesn't fit for you, don't do it. Go to sleep, watch Netflix. It is okay to do nothing in this time. This is a first for everybody. Your parents, your grandparents, this is a first for everybody. So it is okay to rest.
We're gonna be in the history books.
We are going to be in the history books. It is okay to grieve that vacation you had to cancel. It is okay to grieve that birthday party you couldn't give your kids because of the social distancing. It is okay to grieve whatever you missed in this time. Enjoy this time, rest, be okay. Be okay with doing nothing. I love you guys. Peace out. I also pop his pimples.
Yeah, she does.
On his face, that's not.
It's so fun, but I don't have nails right now, so it's not as
Oh,
good.
now it's a good time to do.
And I take the ingrowns out, I pop it, and then pull the
Dig
curly
down
hair.
It's
the best thing ever.
And she's Dr. Pimple Popper.
I am Dr.
Come get
Pimple
this
Popper
out.
Jr.